Well, welcome and thank you for joining us today for the SIT Study Abroad information session. My name is Aaron Klein. I'm an engineering abroad manager here at Ohio State. And with me, I have Amanda from SIT, who is going to share some of the programs that we have for Ohio State students.
Hello. Thank you, Aaron. So yes, as he mentioned, I am Amanda Staten. I am the University Relations Coordinator and Manager of Ohio, so the point contact person for SIT programs for Ohio State University. If I can figure out how to go to next. There we go. So just a little bit of a background about SIT and how we came about. In the early 1960s, Sergeant Shriver was the first director of the Peace Corps and an alumni of the Experiment, which was an exchange program for high school students. He actually called upon the Experiment to conduct orientation and trainings for the earliest Peace Corps volunteers. And then in 1964, the SIT Graduate Institute was founded as a training center for the first generation of Peace Corps volunteers. SIT Study Abroad grew out of the Experiment into an accredited program for undergraduates from the Experiment Cooperative Overseas Program. And now it has evolved into the accredited program for undergraduates, growing to enroll more than 2,000 participants annually. So why SIT? We are a tagline of Not Your Ordinary Study Abroad, and that is specifically because of the experiential learning concept. So SIT programs are rooted in the experiential education model, which merges hands-on learning with reflection in all of our programs. So our programs use classroom instruction, which is complemented with time spent in the field, observing, interacting with local stakeholders, and learning from local experts. We also use excursions to further give you the chance to experience your program's themes in a contrasting setting. And such elements such as rural homestays on an urban program, a neighboring country with a different system of governance, or a diaspora community abroad. Different aspects like that, which I've listed on the screen. We also tend to travel to non-traditional locations. That's really what we're known for. Most of the OSU programs, as I will talk about, are all in the ASOS region, which is Africa south of the Sahara. So in general, all of our programs are focused on a critical global issue. So the programs examine critical global issues that are affecting the communities and societies around the world where our programs are based. This framework allows students to consider their academic and personal interests when searching for a program and choose a program based on those themes and not just the destination. So at SIT, we want students to think about discussing and researching these issues, ultimately to be a part of finding a solution to these complex problems and allowing them to achieve their full potential through their research. So on the screen, these are the full list of the OSU approved programs right now. And you can see I've broken it down by semester and summer programs. So for the semester programs, we have Rwanda, post-genocide restoration and peace building, Senegal, global security and religious pluralism, 3 South Africa programs, 1 on community health and social policy, 1 on multiculturalism and human rights, 1 on social and political transformation. We have 2 Tanzania programs, 1 on wildlife conservation and political ecology, and the other that is mostly focused in Zanzibar on coastal ecology and natural resource management, and then Uganda for global development studies. There are also 2 summer programs that are available, and that's South Africa, Education and Social Change, and Uganda and Rwanda, Peace and Conflict Studies in the Lake Victoria Basin. So while all of our programs do not have one single model that they necessarily follow, they do have some core elements that kind of link what we're known for. So the first element is the intensive immersion, and we do this through the use of always incorporating a language course. We always incorporate some form of a homestay for different lengths of time. And these elements in combined really allow students to immerse yourself in the classroom and outside of it as well. So I think that language piece, you not only take the language course, but you get to practice it with your local homestay.
Hey, Amanda, quick question for you regarding the language. So students might be taking a language course while they're on site. Is that necessarily a prerequisite that they would have to be knowledgeable in that language, or do they have to have a certain number of credit hours towards that language to apply for the program?
No. So it does depend on the program. We do have a couple, but none that are listed as a approved program for OSU right now. But we do have a couple, mostly like Latin America, where there is a prerequisite that's listed of 3 college level courses, because those ones are taught in Spanish. But for all of these programs that are approved by OSU, there's no language prerequisite. They start off from the basics. However, if they do have experience in those languages, prior to going on that, we do kind of an assessment placement test, and we can start those students at a higher level and build from there. So there's like a language type of like assessment where they can place them one-on-one at a higher, more intensive language level. And in some programs, there's one that I will talk about where there is a language option for students where they can take one or the other language because both are common in that area.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So on top of the intensive immersion, which we also use through interactions with local experts and field excursions, we also always incorporate interdisciplinary seminars, which focus on the cultural context in the area. And these are courses that are taught through a combination of lectures, discussions, case studies, and things like meetings with government officials, NGO staff members, and community leadership. Our final piece and core element that we always incorporate is the independent study and fieldwork aspect, which I will talk more in depth about later. But this is where students are really being prepared for undergraduate research and independent study projects. Oftentimes we talk about this element mimicking like a mini capstone that a lot of undergraduate students need in order to graduate, or what students do when they go to grad school. So it's a great preparatory course for that. And this will include a research methods and ethics course, which really prepares them for the back end and how to ethically perform research in that cultural context of that specific program. There is also another option I will talk about later, which is the internship option as opposed to the ISP, and there are similarities and differences there. But this section in general really focuses on synthesis of the theme of the program. Okay. So 4-semester programs, right here on the screen, this is our typical, I would say general, because each one is a little bit different, but format for a semester program. So each program starts out with a 1-week orientation, give or take a day or two. And in that orientation time, you really get to meet your cohort, your other students, meet with your faculty and staff, learn about health and safety in the area, get some basics of culture to the area, and set you up for the whole course. In the next 2 to 10 weeks, 2 to 10, that's mostly when you will be in a homestay. Each course does vary a little bit depending on how much you will be traveling for the coursework. But those next 2 to 10 weeks are really your core coursework experience and excursions. So that's when you'll be taking your language, your thematic seminar course, and then your field methods and ethics course. And then through weeks 11 through 15, which is basically about the last month of the program, that's when you will be doing your independent study project or your internship. And then at the very end of that, in that last week, is when you will be doing your presentations and final evaluations for the course. Okay, so I just picked 2 examples out of all the semester programs that we have to highlight and just to give a little snippet. So the first one that I picked was the Senegal Global Security and Religious, religious pluralism. I'm having trouble with words today. Religious pluralism course. So in this one, you really examine global security discourse and see how Senegal's mix of religions presents a model for global peace from a decolonial perspective. So this program is actually based in Dakar, Senegal. However, and this one is actually the one I was talking about where you have a choice of language, which we'll talk about more in the courses. But it's a 16 credit course. There are no prerequisites for the course. The course is actually taught in English. The French is if you take the French language course, which we will talk about. And you can see I've put some program dates up there for what is this coming spring's program dates. But on this one, besides being based in Dakar and taking your main courses, some of the excursions and the highlights of the program that the students go on is to St. Louis, the Creole city, known for its colonial architecture on the northwest coast of Senegal. I apologize if I butcher any names, but Kaolack and Morocco you both go to learn about Sufism and mystical Islam. And then you also go to 2 different towns, which I will honestly butcher, Joal and Fadiouth, which are connected by a footbridge. And there you will learn about the ethnic groups in the religions, which is like developed by rich indigenous traditions and how they kind of live in harmony. And then you will go to the Gorée Island, which is a landmark for the transatlantic slave trade. So you can see I've listed some other highlights down below, places you visit like eco-villages, security institutions, the Grand Mosque, and really get to deep dive into all the different religions and how they live in harmony in this area. And the Morocco excursion is really for the comparative aspect in order to be able to see how Sufism really differs in Morocco versus how it is done in Senegal and how the government involvement is significant in that. So for the next slide, you will see for the Senegal program, these are some of the core courses that you will take. So you will take Senegal, Colonialism, the State, and the Society, which is a 3-credit course. You'll take Rethinking Global Security, Politics, and Religious Pluralism in Senegal. And then you will take the Research Methods and Ethics course. And that's really during those key, like the 2 to 10 week period that I mentioned before. Then you will also get to choose one of the following 2 options for this course, French or Wolof, which you can take. And you will see there is a range of the level in which you can start for either of those languages based on your previous knowledge. And then in that last month, as I mentioned, for this course, you do have the option of taking the independent study project or the internship with a seminar, which I will go into a little bit more detail about those later. And you can read them, but I've listed some key topics in the academics that they really, study on as far as the religion versus state aspect, and the local movements of resistance and empowerment, things like that. So that is one. The other course I decided to highlight for a semester option was the Tanzania Zanzibar Coastal Ecology and Natural Resource Management. Just to give a little bit of a difference in the variety of the different CGI topics, the critical global issues. So this one, I've actually been to Tanzania and Zanzibar, so on a different program through SIT when I was an undergraduate, but it had a lot of similar aspects to this one for while I was there, so it's very exciting to me. But so for this one, this program, you will be based in Stone Town, Zanzibar as your program base, but you will explore ecology, natural resource management, and sustainability in Tanzania, Zanzibar, and on the islands of Uganda, Mafia, and Pemba in the Western Indian Ocean. And you do also visit the mainland Tanzania for a brief period as well. So in this program, there are a lot of great excursions because it is really in depth. You will actually see listed on this one, there is a prerequisite for this program. It's very faint, but it's just relevant previous coursework, meaning coursework in ecology or natural resource management, sustainability, something similar. And you do have to have the ability to swim, for anybody who doesn't, because you do actually spend some time in the water swimming with the coastal ecology life. So those are two. The language that you do study is Kiswahili, but the courses are taught in English. And so for this one, some of the exciting excursions, you do spend about 8 days on Pemba Island, and you live in a rural community, and you speak with farmers and fish folk about local issues. You do see the Kadiki Flying Kite Sanctuary while you're there, and you visit the fruit bat roosting site, ecotourism destinations, also other places like salt farms, essential oil distilleries, a rubber plantation, forestry services. I could go on. There's a lot of day site excursions on this because it's really more of a STEM science course about getting you in the field and doing field research. So besides going to Pemba, you will also go to Dar es Salaam. So that's the largest city on the mainland of Tanzania. And there we actually work with the University of Dar es Salaam. And you do attend some lectures from the local university for about a week when you're there. You visit a national park and really look at local mammals, birds, reptiles, and their native habitats. And you do engage in conservation efforts and exploring the complexities and outcomes of case studies in natural resource management from multiple standpoints. There are also others to Mafia Island, which is based on a marine park where you meet with indigenous communities. And then, I can't say that one, but the Seychelles Islands. And there you will attend lectures by faculty from the university there. And you'll have various lectures on the blue economy, island rehabilitation and restoration, conservation finance strategies, and other things like that. While you're in Zanzibar, it's the same thing. You have other excursions. There's a lot of rare species there, stunning coral reefs. That's why you have to be in the water. There's also whale sharks that you're in the water with, and many things like that. So it's very field-based for this one. All right, I knew I would spend a lot of time on this. I said this was my favorite, so. But these are the core courses anyways. So you do have a coastal ecology and national resource management seminar. That's where a lot of those field excursions and field research really comes in. You do take Kiswahili as your language, and then there's the research methods and ethics course. So you can see for this one, there is a one class fewer, but there are higher credit level courses. So they're more intensive courses. And then for this one, because it is a STEM-based research program, there is no internship option. It is only the independent study project, which you have to focus on. I feel like I've pretty much covered a lot of the key topics. So in general, talking about the independent and field study project for any of our semester programs, these are you're prepared for in that research methods and ethics course. During that 1 month, you will be conducting a lot of research. The field methods and ethics course will really prepare you and help you develop your topic. You will work closely with your academic director on selecting a topic based on your interests throughout the semester. And so when you get to this, you will conduct your research. You will have to go through a project approval program setup and make sure that you go through the IRB, the International Review Board, and the conclusion of your independent and field study project after your research is a 20 to 40 page paper that is due along with an oral presentation of your research. There are a lot of variations that you can do with the ISP as it goes through the project approval. And along with the paper, there are other forms of supplemental media that you can incorporate into it as well. And that's all something that the academic director, you will discuss and work through with them. And as long as sometimes you get approval through your academic advisor back at your institution to make sure that what you are doing follows along with what is required. So the other option, as I mentioned, like for the Senegal program, there is the option of the internship. So these internships are more experiential, theory and practice, and give you a lot of career insight. So you do discuss your internship interest with your academic advisor towards the beginning of the course, and the same thing with your research methods and ethics. You build through that. You do establish if you want to do an internship pretty early on. We actually ask you about that prior to leaving. And that's so you work with your academic advisor to find the right internship placement for you. You do have to apply for an internship like a normal internship that you would. And you also have some requirements that they must meet, and then it alters your research methods and ethics course. About halfway through that course, it splits off a little bit if you're going to be doing an internship or if you're going to be doing an independent study research, so that they can make sure to tailor that towards which format you're doing. So in this internship, you do develop real world skills. We do have a lot of connections with local organizations that you meet throughout the semester. And oftentimes it's one of those organizations that you encountered in your coursework that you'll be doing an internship with. So there's a lot of culture preparation in that research methods and ethics course. And then the conclusion of this is you do also have a paper that you have to turn in and an oral presentation that you still have to get at the end of your internship. Okay, so summer programs. I know I'm running out of time, so I'll go a little faster. So we do only have 2 summer programs that are approved, but this is the standard setup for a summer program. You have the 1-week orientation. You do have weeks 2 to 6 are your homestay and your core coursework and excursions for the course. And then in that last week is the debriefing and wrap up from the course. So it's similar to the semester, but a shorter, more condensed version with less courses because it's lower credit. So the program I chose was South Africa, Education and Social Change for summer. So you can see in this one, it is a 7-credit course. It is also taught in English with no prerequisites. But this is for the South Africa program, really focused on understanding the challenges and successes of transforming education and explore its role in a rapidly changing social and political context of South Africa. So this really goes a lot into how education has played a role in social change in South Africa. There's been a lot of today and in the past during apartheid of the education and universities really spearheading social change and policy change. So it really looks at how education has shaped their culture and their country over time. So for this program, it is based in Durban, but you do go to a lot of different excursions as well. So you will visit a lot of different museums going into the history of apartheid. In Cape Town, you actually compare and contrast educational approaches in the Cape Flat School in Cape Town. And you visit the Center of Lawmaking in South Africa to discuss educational policy with teachers, administrators, and activists in the Western Cape. You do visit a lot of other places, such as some education and environment projects. The fellow students at the University of KwaZulu-Natal go with you to the southern coast, and so you have a little bit of interaction with the local students. You do visit some other language education trusts, NGOs working in the area, and some various rural schools in different areas as well. So for this program, as I mentioned, it's a lot shorter, with it only being the 7 credits. So you do take an education and social change seminar, and then you do an education practicum. And the education practicum, there's a lot of different varieties that you can do with it. But some of it is, one example is being a counselor for a summer program with students. That's one of the options you can do. But again, in the education practicum, it's based on what you encounter and experience during the coursework portion, and you do work with the academic director on finding your education practicum placement. Okay, so beyond this is the other thing that I think SIT is really known for, is our alumni network and the opportunities that the fieldwork and experiential learning base that's incorporated into our program really provides. So this type of experience and the research really gives students a competitive advantage. So in 2014, for example, SIT conducted a survey of alumni, and about 65% told us they went on to graduate school or professional school after attending one of our programs. Those who identified as having participated in the global health program, 99% went on to a graduate school after. And we do actually have a global health program that is offered for OSU. It's the South Africa one, which I love that program as well. It has a great academic director. So I do recommend looking at that one. And there are other examples that we have for alumni engagement opportunities. We are going to host a CGI symposium, post-COVID, where it's really an involvement for all of our alumni to come and be a part of continuing their research within those fields and talking with other academics in those fields. Another big thing for us is the Notre Dame Human Development Conference. We've had a lot of alumni present their research from their SIT independent study project at this conference. And on top of that, I think it was 2 years ago, hard to tell with COVID, you know, delays. We did have 2 win the Bartel Prize for their presentations and research there. Every year we've sponsored it since the beginning, and every year we've always had students attend and present their research. So OSU admission deadlines. Ohio State does have a little bit of an earlier deadline than ours. So I just pulled those to make sure you're aware. Don't always just look at the deadlines on ours, because you do have an earlier deadline. So they are all on the screen. For fall, the deadline for applications for filling out an OSU and an SIT application is March 1st. Spring is October 1st, and summer is February 1st. We also, I always just mention, there is a lot of scholarships and financial aid available. I do recommend talking to the Study Abroad office as well as the financial aid department on this. We do have our own SIT scholarships that we award. There's need-based scholarships. We offer a Pell Grant match program. And then there's a lot of external scholarships as well that students can apply for that really love experiential learning model programs and tend to award students in those types of programs. So I recommend talking to the office about those. And then finally, I will say next steps. So a good thing for us is finding a program out of those lists. I know on the OSU website is the full list of all of the SIT programs that I had listed that we approved. You then want to find those on our website. If you go to the website and find that specific program, there will be the course syllabi, more program descriptions. You can look into the faculty members. You can connect with an alumni of the program and ask them about their experience, read some of the sample independent study projects that people have done from those programs. And then once you do that, you want to talk to your advisor in the Study Abroad office for your home institution and meet with them to really talk about the OSU application process before you start the SIT application process. So then you can apply through our website by going to that program page for that term, click apply now, start filling out the application. You will also be connected to an admissions counselor that will help you through that for what the requirements are. And then in that application process, there is an area where you can indicate about financial aid and really talk about to a financial aid counselor at your institution, but then through SIT as well about those options. So that's my long but brief version on a couple of the options that are available for OSU. You can see there's my contact information on the screen. Anybody is welcome to reach out to me at any point with questions that we have. And I did also include the link at the bottom if you can read it for watching this presentation. If you click on that and fill out the inquiry card, it does waive the application fee for applying since you virtually attended this webinar. So thank you. Questions?
And just if students are going back to review this, that URL, I'm assuming that's an underscore between the study abroad and semester.
Oh, yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Sorry,
just I figured in case a student is typing that in, that they can get that correct.
Yeah. They can also email me too at any time, and I can send that link. Yeah. Okay,
wonderful. Well, thank you, Amanda. You answered a lot of questions that I was going to ask you. And just for our OSU students to know, when it comes to third-party providers such as SIT, the nice thing about these programs is that as long as they are approved by Ohio State, you're able to get OSU credit. So the programs that Amanda was highlighting the programs that you find in our portal when you go and search on our website. Any approved program, you're going to be able to get OSU credit, which is great. It's graded academic credit. There is a credit evaluation process that you'll go through. So once you start the application through Teradata on our website, there's a credit evaluation form that you'll receive. And essentially you just go to the academic department that sponsors that course to get approval to say, yes, this course that you're going to take with SIT can come back to Ohio State so you can get that academic graded credit. What's also nice with our third-party providers is that you stay enrolled at OSU during the term that you're studying abroad. So say you go abroad spring of 2021, you would be enrolled at SIT, but you would also be enrolled at OSU in a placeholder course. So essentially that's just holding your spot here at OSU. You're not charged OSU tuition, which is a great benefit. All that you'd be paying is the program fee through SIT. And I know one of the questions that I was going to ask you, Amanda, which you hit on, was financial aid and scholarships. So as Amanda mentioned, SIT has a number of scholarships, aid, matching grants that they're able to do. You're also able to apply for OSU scholarships. So if there's current aid, grants, scholarships that you're receiving, we recommend that you just check with the administrator of that scholarship to ensure that you can use it abroad. But there are also additional scholarships that you can apply for as a study abroad student. So I always tell students, apply to as many as you can, apply to all of them through SIT, apply to the scholarships through OSU, through your academic department, because the more scholarships that you apply for, the better off you're going to be.
I always just put a pitch in that really quick too, that I did that. I came from a state school as an undergraduate, and when I did SIT, I talked to my financial aid department and found a bunch of state grants and scholarships that actually I applied to on my own and ended up receiving and could use towards that program. So that's why I say that there's a lot that are out there that like experiential learning models. And for different things too. So talking about the Tanzania program, there are STEM focused international scholarships that you can apply for. There's a lot more out there than you think. It just takes a bit of research.
And Amanda, I'm sorry, you were a little faint there, and I was able to hear you, but you seemed to be a little faint. So I don't know if your mic went out or.
Can you hear me now?
I can, but it was fainter than before. So I don't know if somehow, maybe when I chimed in. But anyway, I was going to ask you, so, you know, a lot of these programs focused on pre-med, STEM, it really seems like it encompasses a wide variety and range of academic disciplines. What do you see as, you know, the most popular major of students that are applying to SIT programs?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. That's better.
Okay. That's a really, really hard one, honestly, because it really depends on the program. We actually get a really wide variety of majors that go, and sometimes majors go to program themes that you would never think about. And I think that, but I really think that a lot of that is a little bit the flexibility of the independent study project part, because in that you get to pick the topic of your choice for your independent study project. So it has to fall in the theme of the program. So say it's a program that's focused on global health. But if you were, I'm going to use a really out there one, but like math, if you were a math major and just really wanted to go and the program seemed really interesting, you could find ways for like your independent study project to incorporate mathematical elements into it and make it applicable. So I will say, I think that global health is really popular for us, and there's a lot of public health and pre-med and variety of people that tend to go into public health today. So our global health programs are really popular, and it's the same thing. It will focus on global health, like our Africa program, and go to a lot of clinics. But because you have that flexible in ISP, people can then specialize it towards what their major is. So it's really hard to say a popular major. I know that at OSU, the African Studies Department is really strong. And I think that's why we have a lot of programs that are available in the ASOS region. But I think it looks like it's pretty wide for a variety of different reasons that people go. It's really hard to say. There is probably a program for everybody.
Yes.
Or that you can work, and it's really about, if you find the topic as a student interesting, that's what we're looking for. We want students to be engaged in the topic, and if it is applicable, but you have something specific you need to focus on, we can try to work with that flexibility in the independent study project area.
Well, that's great to know that, you know, students can tailor their experience based on their academic or their personal interests.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does tend to be a little bit more in the social sciences. I will say that's probably where more of our popularity comes from. Also, there's a lot of people that are interested in elements with the Peace Corps. I know that some schools have a Peace Corps prep program, or people that are interested in maybe going into the Peace Corps after they graduate. Those are areas that really tend to gravitate towards our programs as well, especially since we have roots in the Peace Corps. But the social sciences is a bigger area. We just also do have the STEM program. I will just say that the social sciences are probably the bigger side.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, I think you answered all of my questions. Anything else to add, or?
No, I don't think so. Just again, my contact information is up there. Any student is welcome, or faculty member for that, matter, who may have watched this and is interested, is always welcome to contact me with any questions. My email is up there. I will say that as working from home is probably the better contact for me initially than the phone number that I'm still getting used to as being from home. But I'm always happy to talk and connect you with, people that can provide more details or information, especially if it's a question about something specific.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Amanda. And for any students that also have questions on the OSU side, you can always visit our website, oia.osu.edu. You can find all of the contact details for our staff, for program inquiries, and find more information about our education abroad programs. So thank you, Amanda.